Welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Sent.
I'm Sil.
And today we're talking about Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 5, Kirsten and Shaq. I want to call her Kristen so bad, but it's Kirsten.
Yeah.
Gotta get it right.
Yeah, you know, her girlfriend made that whole speech. Her name is Kirsten.
So, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now. We're trying to still fill out the vibe between Kirsten and Shaq. I mean, I think it's apparent at this point that she's not fully attracted to him. And, you know, we'll get into some of the particulars that happen in this episode. But one of the big things that my husband and I have been going back and forth about is figuring out, like, what is appropriate at this time for her to say or to do, you know, considering that she wants to stay in this process for the 8 weeks. You know, she's not checking out. I don't feel like she's giving him bad vibes per se, but she's not giving him I'm attracted to you type of vibes. So is it appropriate for her to tell him that she's not that attracted to him? Or does she sit on that information? Like, what's going to be the best case scenario for this relationship to endure?
Yeah, we did have this conversation. And I'm not sure how many seasons total that we've watched of this show, but quite a few. And it does seem like the couples that began to say that they're not really attracted to each other on the honeymoon, that it's always to their demise. And so to me, it's just too soon. I think it's too soon. You only met this person a few days ago, and some people are slow starters. It takes them a little while to kind of like begin to get in the groove and get comfortable with someone, become vulnerable, open up. And so and keep in mind, you got cameras and all this stuff following you around. Everything is so fast-paced. Everything is so rushed. You got producers and all of this stuff. And so because of all of those aspects, just wait a second. Wait a couple of days. At least wait until you get back to some sense of normalcy back at home or something before you begin to say, you know what, I've been wanting my feelings to kind of increase for you. However, there's no chemistry or whatever the case may be. And so I just think it's a little bit too soon. However, I think with the way Kirsten said it and delivered it to Shaq, I think she did a pretty decent job.
I think she did too. And the reason that I, on the other hand, you know, differ from you in my opinion about it is because, especially as a woman, I mean, I can only speak really from a woman's perspective when it comes to this, but in any relationship, let alone, I can't even imagine being in one that's so forced like these are. But in any relationship, if you move slower than the other person, it seems like inevitably there's this unspoken, and sometimes spoken, but oftentimes unspoken pressure that you feel. Because you can tell that this person is maybe more into you than you're into them. They're more attracted to you maybe than you are to them. And you're not writing them off. You're not saying no. You're just saying not yet. Or at least, you know, I'm not saying yes either. It may be a no. But I'm still trying to decide if it is a no or if it can be a yes.
Yeah.
And when you feel pressure, and pressure may be added on because of the cameras in the process and how you know it's on a timeline. You know, it could be even more pressure for you.
Yeah.
And feeling the need to maybe see if you cannot hurt this person's feelings by just shunning them all the time. They get close and you get fired, you know, every single time. Just by saying, listen, you know, you are growing on me, but I'm not there. And I think that's what she was trying to do there. And like you said, I thought she did it in the best way possible. Contrast that with the way that Gina talked to Clint. At night and day.
Night and day.
You know, night and day. But I think it was an okay conversation for her to have. I just feel like no matter how gently somebody delivers that type of information, it's still a hard pill to swallow. And I think he's having a difficult time swallowing.
Yes. Oh, yes. He's internalizing to a great degree what she told him.
Yeah.
And you can see it kind of began to play out by the end of the episode. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, but I like their talk. They, of course, they got to the honeymoon a day late, I guess. Yeah. But they started off talking about her having supported him on his, I don't know if he had a dissertation, whatever he had for school, his presentation, you know, and he felt good about that. And I felt like she at least said all the right things. And I'm not getting a disingenuous vibe from her, like she doesn't want to support him. Mm-hmm. Is it just on a friendship level? Maybe. But we won't know. You know, I think she's just truly having a challenge deciding whether or not this is something she can do romantically.
Yes.
So I like her. I think she's saying the things that she's supposed to say. She's supporting him. I think she likes him as a person. Mm-hmm. I thought it was fun watching them with the ATVs. Mm-hmm. He would have got on my nerves because he was real timid, like, about stuff. And she took off. She left him.
Mm. She did.
She was like,
she did.
I mean, but he tried. Mm-hmm. And I can commend him for that because, you know, he seems like he's been living in a bubble his whole life because of the accident that he had when he was in his youth. Yeah. So he's been very, like, sheltered from anything that seems remotely dangerous. Yeah. So for him to, like, step outside of his comfort zone and, you know, do that with her and try his best, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. She got good patience. I just would have been like, oh my gosh. Why did they set me up with this bubble man? Like, I don't want him.
Bubble man? Oh.
Like in a bubble.
Oh my goodness.
You missed it.
I know. I got it. I got it.
So after bubble that man is when they got into the conversation. Mm-hmm. Where she kind of breaks it to him that she wasn't initially attracted. Mm-hmm. When she said that he's growing on her, he had an adverse reaction to, you know, he was like, growing on you, you know, because it sounds bad. But I think in this process, you have to be so realistic about the real possibility that you either may not be attracted to who you get, or at least not wholly attracted to who you get matched up with. Or you may not be attractive to who you get matched up with. And I would like I was telling you as we were watching it, I would love if the experts would take some time during the process, during the selection and everything, talking to them and counseling them separately, individually, about that being a very real possibility and maybe the best ways to deal with it.
Very true. I would love to see them do that, but I know they've seen this show. You can't tell me that most of these people that go on this show haven't seen the show and seen what has happened, how it can go from good to bad. So, yeah, they walking in to this thing, you know, with blinders on because they don't know who's going to be at the end of the aisle for them, but they know the very real prospect on some Quasimodo being at the other end at the altar for them, you know, so they already know that, you know. But for Kirsten, again, I do think that she gave the talk with him. I think she gave it very well. I do think just from her body language with him, she said herself, "Look, I'm all on you, and you are warming up." Or I am warming up to you and things of that sort. So you're growing on me. And so I do think she did it very well. And unfortunately, I just think, you know, he internalized it. Yeah. You know, in a negative way.
He did. I think 95% of men would internalize it in a bad way. Mm-hmm. And maybe women too, but it's just tough. Yeah. It's a tough spot for both people to be in. Yeah. What did you think about her telling him that she doesn't like kissing much? I felt like that was okay. That's legit as a woman, but it seemed to me like something that men would read as a cop-out. Did you take that any type of way?
Some men definitely would, especially if in relationships or women that the man has dealt with in the past didn't have that issue, and then all of a sudden, okay, well, I just met you. You say you don't even like kissing, and you weren't really attracted to me in the beginning. Are you just being nice? What's the truth? Behind all of this, is it just me or the other 5 guys or whatever you didn't have this issue with? I don't know. And so, I think from that standpoint, yeah, it could probably be some questions rolling around, and it's understandable.
Yeah,
from a man's standpoint, anyway.
So at their final sit down, when they had dinner together, there was a little bit of shift, I think, in the mood. And that was something that you were talking about. Like, this was him kind of, his, I don't know, the internalization of what was said to him kind of manifesting itself in maybe a little bit of a negative way. Because as he's talking to her, it almost seemed like he kind of went off on a tangent and started talking about, like, I want you to be, what did he say, intentional with yourself. It was like he was having a pep talk with one of his mentees, which he brought up. This, I tell my mentees this all the time. And this isn't a way that I had heard him talk to her before. So you had a couple of theories on what was going on.
Yeah, well, for one, like we were saying, he internalized her not being fully attracted to him in the beginning and not liking his bald head. He internalized that. No one is 100% secure 100% of the time. And so definitely give Shaq a little bit of leeway on that, especially since he's already admitted that he was digging her. He's attracted to her. He feels butterflies when he sees her. And so for her to kind of like give that to him, like it or not, kind of like a gut punch a little bit for him, even though she did deliver it very nicely and sweetly. And so I do think when he was having that conversation with her, he was trying to do things or say things that was either trying to protect himself a little bit, try to separate himself a little bit from her. I'm up here, you're down here, you're my mentee, or you feel like my mentee or whatever. And so that way, I'm not having those butterflies no more, and I'm not open to you saying something else to hurt my feelings. So that was number one. And then number two, it just could have been him being in the situation, being in the moment, not necessarily trying to protect himself, but being in the moment of becoming off so perfect, saying the right things, presenting the right things, that she'll just open up like a butterfly. But I don't think he was planning it out. Sometimes we just act, we just do things, we feel things, and so sometimes we're just not so smooth with it, or we're not thinking about it ahead of time. It just happens. And I just think that was part of some of what was kind of like going on with him in that conversation. Yeah, he's just acting.
Well, I'm glad it didn't go way left. He could have said too much, or he could have been a little bit more condescending. It did, to me, give a condescending type feel to that, and it looked like she perceived it that way. But it was a short conversation, it seemed like, and he opened up the door for her to respond before he finished, like, really sticking his foot way in his mouth. And she kind of redirected him, and I felt like it finished more clean than it seemed like it was going to go. So again, kudos to her. I feel like she handled it well. She didn't really like it, but she brought it back around to something that was positive, and they toasted to it. So yeah, I mean, I like Kirsten. I do. I feel like she's doing the best she can, and she can't help it. I've said this plenty of other times in other seasons where people haven't found their person attractive. That's okay. I mean, I can't shame you for not finding somebody attractive, even if I think they're attractive, or, all of us do. It's one of those things that varies very, very much, I hope that she gets past it, but I'm not looking at her like, at least my husband has been looking at her for a couple of weeks as being like this super picky, really, particular person. I think she's open. I think it's just a little bit of a hurdle for her.
That's fair. I would say that I liked her a little bit better this episode than any other episode, but it still does not say that she's not, for me, that she's not picky. She is picky. I still think, but I think she is trying to overcome her pickiness. And I do think she is trying to see some other things other than the physical stuff with Shaquille, other than his bald head. Like she said, his education, him being family oriented, and like she said, making her feel safe.
But see, he's gonna mess that up if he does what he did at that dinner. That last thing you just said, that feel safe, she won't. So he's got to be careful. Everything that he has going for him right now, he needs to keep it going.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But he was definitely speaking her language because, like I've said 100 times, women want to feel secure, safe in their relationships, and that's a lot of times their primary need. And that was a primary need that he was basically letting her know, I'm that guy for you, like you said, until he started to put his foot in his mouth. So just be natural. Like she was basically trying to tell him, just be natural. You know, talk to me like I'm a person and not talk at me.
Yeah. So that's all for their little segment of this episode. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on it. Do you think she can do it? I don't know. I don't know if she can get over it. I want them to work because I like them both. I thought that I liked Eris and Jasmine, but I don't like Eris at all. So, I still like Jasmine, but I don't like Eris at all. So now, I've got to throw some of these other couples in the mix and start rooting for them.
Yeah.
So I will let Kirsten and Shaq be one of them. And we'll see. Crossing my fingers.
I still have no power and no couple. Okay, I'm not rooting for anyone this season.
Oh my gosh!
I haven't seen anything that would make me root for any one of these couples that they have this season. The experts, didn't see it. Didn't see it in any of these picks that they did. If you all see it, please let me know. I don't understand this what they presented to
us. How you gonna not root for them? No. You gotta root for everybody.
Some people just need to call it.
Not all of the couples.
Yeah.
Anyway, y'all, drop your comments below. Let us know your thoughts on Kirsten and Shaq. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.